to the war in Ukraine, and more than 30 years after the first Russian McDonald's was cheered as a symbol of global peace, the fast food chain says it's all over. A lot of Western companies have closed shop in Russia because of Vladimir Putin's war with Ukraine, with the hope of reopening once the fighting is over. But McDonald's move to permanently leave Russia could signal something much bigger. That, even after the war, perhaps after Putin is gone, the scars that he has created could still be in place, might even be permanent. But if the loss of McDonald's in Russia is lost on Putin, the state of his army on the battlefield surely isn't. With me now, Dr. Rebecca Grant, president of Iris Independent Research, a national security and military analyst and a Fox News contributor. Great to see you back again. So I want to talk about something that happened. It was late last week, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it here on America Reports. And that is a battle that happened somewhere, we're not exactly sure, but it's probably somewhere in this area, crossing the Donets River, somewhere near Bilohorivka, west of Severodonetsk. And that is that the Ukrainian military got word that the Russians were amassing on this side of the river and were about to cross it using pontoon bridges. So they said, guess what? Let's go blow the crap out of them. And they did. I mean, take a look at this. These are T-72 tanks that have had their turrets lollipopped or blown off. There's the turrets there on the ground and one here. What kind of blow is this to Russia?
Well, Ukraine did a tremendous job here, and I am so impressed with these tactics because, John, they watched the Russians put the pontoon across, they watched the first tanks and vehicles roll, and then they unleashed an artillery barrage that used little cluster munitions and submunitions to seek and destroy this armor. This is an incredibly sophisticated tactics. It's on a par with what our forces could do in Afghanistan and Iraq, and it's really going to freak out the Russians.
I mean, it's pretty remarkable. There's some counts that upwards of 80 armored vehicles, tanks, BMPs, other armored vehicles were destroyed in this. There's those pontoon bridges here that you can see that were just destroyed. They were trying to put those across the river. They rolled some tanks across. They sunk the pontoon bridges. There's a lot of armor, as you can see right here, that's even in the water.
And look at all that mud. And I like how Ukraine was smart enough to see this coming and to plan it out to wreak the maximum destruction on this Russian battalion tactical group. The remnants of this Russian unit aren't going to want to make an attack like this again, because when they're in vehicles and moving as a group, they are vulnerable, and now they know it.
Well, you've got to wonder, not just this battalion, which was really decimated by this, but any other Russian battalion, are they going to want to move anywhere knowing that the Ukrainians have got intelligence on them, and they've got a bead on them as well?
Oh, it's a message, because Ukraine can track them with UAVs and then use artillery, like the ones that come in from U.S. and NATO, to use really precise strikes. So that means that these Russian forces are vulnerable anytime they try to move. So that's a big advantage for Ukraine.
So just on the bigger map here, the area that this was happening was down in this area here, on a line from Izium to Severodonetsk. But I want to talk about Kharkiv, because Kharkiv, there's been a tremendous amount of success by Ukrainian forces in pushing the Russians back, not just from the city, but back toward the border between Ukraine and Russia. Russia still hasn't taken Mariupol, and they still can't get west of Mykolaiv here. But talk to me about Kharkiv and the fact that this is the second biggest city in Ukraine, and they've basically pushed the Russians out.
Just like they pushed them back from Kyiv. So the retreat of Russia from Kharkiv is very important. They're doing it because they're losing, and they want to put more troops down here. But this has made Zelensky say, hey, we can win this war. So it is a whole new war now. As long as Ukraine can keep these jaws from clamping shut here, then they have the chance to go on the counteroffensive, clear the Russians out here, and start thinking strategically about maybe attacking Russian bases in Crimea.
But part of the problem, though, with that is that Ukraine apparently is beginning to run out of some of the weapons that have been so effective against the Russians, like these Turkish drones.
Right, the drones, but we've also given them drones that will help augment that. So as long as NATO can supply them, exactly, Switchblade, Phantom Ghost, the others, and others from European partners, and get the shells and the drones in there, and they can keep this offensive up. They really proved that at the bridge.
So a huge miscalculation by Vladimir Putin trying to take the whole country at once. It just fell on its face. He can't even make significant gains here. But here's the other part of the equation that is really blowing up in his face. You've got Finland first, and now Sweden saying, you know what, we're going to become a part of NATO. And here's Vladimir Putin, who wanted to break up NATO, destabilize the EU, and instead Finland and Sweden are going to join these blue nations in NATO. And look at this. Right now, you've got a border of about 225 miles between NATO and Russia with Latvia and Estonia. But when Finland joins, that's going to add about 804 more miles of NATO border directly with Russia. I mean, this is an epic, epic failure on Putin's part.
So now Putin is losing on the northern flank as well. And John, let me mention, Sweden has not been in a war or an alliance since 1814. Yes, 1814. Shattering, important decision for them, historic, hard to do, but they will not trust Russia for 3 generations after this.
Wow. So this is going to be a lasting problem. And Finland had a good relationship with Russia. This is going to throw that out the window.
Finland prized its neutrality, but they understand what the threat is like. They beat them in the 1939 war, and right now they want security for their children in the future, and that's why they're joining NATO.
Wow. Putin couldn't have done much worse, could he?
Nope.
All right. Rebecca, great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jackie?
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.